Okay, we're down to the end of this massive document. And it covers everybody's favorite dog to kick, lobbying. Yeah, I know there's plenty of rules in place for it and all that stuff, but boy, there are just so many ways around it that anytime Congress tries to legislate itself, it does a hell of a job of protecting its own interests. So we're going to fix that with this last little section here. And it says, basically, any legal entity tasked with influencing the executive or legislative branch must do so publicly. Any contact between influence organizations and the members or staff of the legislative or executive branch must be in the presence of a person and or device to document the interaction completely. All documentation must be made publicly available through the most prevalent technology for information dissemination at the time. That would be basically the internet, within 24 hours after the contact. Now, that seems a bit ridiculous, because what if somebody goes up there or you go up to see your congressman and you're telling them you want him to do something. Well, you're not paid to do that. You're doing that of your own volition. You're doing that because you have an interest in it, or it affects you personally. However, if the NRA or, Christ, a half a dozen other lobbying organizations, whether it's a natural gas alliance or whatever, goes up there to talk to their congressman, that's fine. You can go talk to your personal congressman. But if you're paid to talk to a bunch of congressmen and get them all wrapped around your little finger and do what you want, well, that we need to know about. There's too many meetings take place in the dark. Too many meetings that take place in restaurants, take places on beaches, take places in our hallowed offices of the Congress, and nobody knows what happened in between those except for the representative and the lobbyist, and that has to stop. Because when you bring it to the light, there's a lot of stuff that they won't be saying or doing, and it'll be a lot harder to make their case honestly, or dishonestly in this case. Now, because of that, and because it is so prevalent and so damaging, I did include a method of punishment, basically, for those who violate it. And I don't mean a slap on the wrist. I don't mean a censure from the House or the Senate. I mean money and time. So violators shall be fined 10% of their gross income. Now, the word gross income is kind of important here, because that means everything they earned for the previous 12 months. Not just what they got paid by Congress. In other words, whatever their investments were, whatever they made off selling their home or their car. Basically, whatever's on their income tax statement, by God, 10% of it gets taken for meeting with lobbyists without reporting it. And that's per incident. So you get a chunk of those, it can add up to some real money. In the event more than 5 violations for any one individual in one calendar year occur, excess violations shall result in 2 years imprisonment for each violation in excess of the 5 violations. And such imprisonment will start immediately after the member's term has expired. Meaning nobody's going to lose a representative, nobody's going to lose a senator, nobody's going to lose anything. They're going to pay their they're going to pay their debt to society after they've done their job. Now, staff violating this section shall be fined 10% of their gross income for the previous 12 months per incident. In the event more than 5 violations in a calendar year occur, the staff member shall be terminated without further compensation and be imprisoned for a period for 2 years for each violation in excess of the 5 violations in a calendar year. Now basically what that says is we're going to punish the staff just as hard as we're going to punish the representatives, because the truth is the staff is usually the way into the representative. Hell, the representative does maybe 1/10 of the work that gets done in his office or her office. Okay? So we need to make the people who set his schedule and have his ear just as responsible as he is. Now, the failure of members or staff to report influence attempts that violate this rule to the Attorney General within 3 business days shall be considered a violation. So you're not only responsible for not doing it, but you're responsible for telling if somebody does try to do it. Anybody that tries to meet with a senator or a representative or their staff without another person present to record it, or recording devices to totally capture the entire conversation, then they're just as guilty as if they'd done it. Because if they're hiding it, how many did they have that they didn't get caught at? Now that's kind of it for now. Like I said, these are solutions. This is a solution. This isn't some pie in the sky, send me money so I can hire people to work for you game. Okay? That's not what I want. What I want is each person that feels this is a good idea, this is a competent piece of legislation and covers everything properly without screwing anybody out of their own rights, I want you to print that out. And there's a letter also that I want you to print out. These are all PDFs, so you can print the PDF out and fill it in and mail one to your congressman, mail one to your senator, mail one to each senator in your state. So I want you to send out 3 of these basically. For every person out there. Don't just send them out if you're over 18. Okay? Because I'll tell you right now, your representatives and your Senate represent everything in that state, from the baby that was born 5 minutes ago to the guy that's going to die in 2 minutes. Okay? Get a signature on them, get them in an envelope, send them to Washington, D.C. Send them to their Washington offices. There's a link on the page that will take you there to figure out which representative is yours. And spend the 44 cents on the letter. And hell, with printing, even if you got to go to Kinko's or Staples or someplace or a buddy's house to print them out and they charge you by the page, you're going to have $5 tied up in sending this out to 3 of your 3 representatives in Congress. $5. Shit, most places want a donation of $10 or more. And they're not even doing anything close to this. But this is where the people speak. You send this to them, you sign it. You sign one for your kids. You sign one for anyone. Hell, print a couple out, take them over to friends and say, hey, you need to do this. Take them over to people who are homeless. Take them down to the homeless shelter. Give them a damn box of stamps and envelopes and a bunch of those printed out just so they can sign them and send them in, because those people count too.